Hello, fellow Wolverines, and welcome back to Wolf TV SportsCenter. My name is Amaro Coro.
And I'm Zach Warshaw. In this week's episode, we'll be covering Michigan football's 31-20 win over the pathetic excuse for a football program in East Lansing, men's hockey's 4-0 shutout and 5-2 loss in a split series with number 2 Western Michigan, women's soccer's season-ending 1-1 draw with Illinois, men's soccer's late 2-1 comeback win over Northwestern, swim and dive's dominant weekend sweep of Northwestern as well, and UCLA women's volleyball's back-to-back road sweeps of Ohio State and Illinois, field hockey's tough losses to number 2 Northwestern and number 10 Iowa, and we'll look ahead to Michigan's primetime home matchup against Purdue this Saturday night.
This past Saturday, October 25th, your Wolverines spanked Little Brother in their own house, winning 31-20. Michigan won the toss and deferred to the second half, but only 3 plays into MSU's opening drive, quarterback Charles fumbled, which was recovered by linebacker Jimmy Rolder. This led to a 21-yard Zavada field goal with just under 4 minutes left in the first. Bryce took it in himself for a 13-yard rushing touchdown. In the beginning of the second, MSU would get their first points on the board thanks to a 1-yard rushing touchdown from quarterback Aiden Childs. Going into the half, Michigan led 10-7.
Coming out of the locker room, Michigan received the ball and scored on the first drive, coming from a 5-yard rushing touchdown from Justice Haynes. A few drives later, Haynes would score again on a 15-yard rushing touchdown to make the score 24-7. In the beginning of the fourth, MSU running back Brandon Tulis scored off a 1-yard rushing touchdown. They then attempted a 2-point conversion, which was no good. With just under 3 minutes left in the game, Jordan Marshall broke free for a 56-yard rushing touchdown, making it 31-13. For MSU's final drive in garbage time, they removed the starters and had Alessio Milivojevic in at quarterback. He led them down the field and threw a 21-yard touchdown to tight end Michael Masunas, making the final score 31-20. Bryce struggled this weekend, posting a stat line of 8 for 17 with only 86 passing yards and no touchdowns. Didn't stop him from doing the Paul Bunyan pose, though. Per usual, though, the run game was fantastic, and Haynes and Marshall combined for 262 rushing yards on 41 carries with 3 combined TDs.
On October 23rd, the men's hockey team hosted number 2 defending champions, Western Michigan, at Yost Ice Arena. The Wolverines won 4-0, making Michigan's record 7-0 for the first time since 1979. This is the best defensive start in Maize and Blue history. Freshman goaltender Jack Ivankovich stopped a career high of 32 shots on net for a second shutout of the month. On the 24th, the Wolverines traveled to Kalamazoo for Game 2 of the series, where their streak finally came to an end. They faced a loss of 5-2, the Broncos, with their only goals being scored by underclassmen Dakota Room-Mullen and Will Harkoff. It was an intensely physical game with numerous penalties being called on both sides. After the split, Michigan moves up to the polls to number 2. The Wolverines will rally and begin Big Ten play next weekend, heading to Notre Dame for a Halloween matchup.
Yeah, I was at that second game in Kalamazoo. Let me just say this. I never need to go back to that place. Okay, anyway, Michigan women's soccer closed out its 2025 campaign with a 1-1 draw against Illinois on Sunday. Senior captain Jenna Lang scored in the 53rd minute off an assist from Callie Burrell, giving Michigan a second-half lead, but the Illini equalized with 6 minutes remaining. The Wolverines outshot Illinois 17-7, including an 8-2 edge in shots on goal, with sophomore Elle Irvin leading the team with 5 attempts. Despite late pressure and chances in the final moments, Michigan was unable to find a winner, officially ending the season and narrowly missing a spot in the conference tournament.
Michigan men's soccer rallied late to secure a 2-1 victory over Northwestern on Friday night at Soccer Field. The Wolverines fell behind the 32nd minute when Aaron O'Reilly gave the Wildcats an early lead, but senior Grayson Elmquist tied the match in the 65th minute, finishing a slick setup from Julio Herrera and Nolan Miller. Michigan continued to press, and Mitar Mitrovic delivered the game winner in the 87th minute off a penalty kick, lifting the Maize and Blue to turn their 9th win of the season. Goalkeeper Isaiah Goldson made 6 key saves in the second half to preserve the victory. Michigan controlled possession throughout, recording a 16 shots and 10 corners. The Wolverines returned home Tuesday to host Detroit Mercy for senior night.
This past weekend, the men and women's swim and dive team hosted Northwestern and UCLA at Canham Natatorium. The final score on the men's side was 186-114 with the Wolverines on top. This win moves their record to 3-0 this season. The men started off the meet strong, winning the 400 medley relay. The team of Eitan Ben Shitrit, Luka Mladenovic, Tyler Ray, and Ola Dam posted a time of 3:06.18. Some outstanding individual performances came from Antoine Swab, posting a 1:34.12 in the 200-yard freestyle, and a 4:20.74 in the 500-yard freestyle. Tyler Ray's victories in the 100 and 200 fly with times of 45.75 and 1:42.59, the Wolverines closed out the meet with a combined time of 1:18.04 in the 200-yard freestyle relay by the team of Dam Ray, Colin Gier, and Mladenovic. Across the board, the men had an extremely successful meet and are building up to a great mid-season meet.
On the women's side, they outscored both Northwestern and UCLA 205-92 and 193-103, moving the record to 4-0. The women started off the meet extremely strong, posting a new Michigan swim and dive record in the 400-yard medley relay. Bella Sims, Letitia Sim, and Brady Kendall and Stephanie Balducci posted a blazing time of 3:26.82 for the first time in school history. Letitia Sim ended the meet with 2 more individual wins in the 100 and 200-yard breaststroke with a 58.58 and a 2:08.02. Hannah Ballard also won her 2 individual events in the 200-yard butterfly with a time of 1:54.07 in the 400 IM and a time of 4:07.88. Layla Fack picked up the win in the 100-yard butterfly with a time of 52.22. This was a very solid performance for the women throughout the whole team. They are looking very promising moving forward in the season. Up next, the Wolverine will take on Oakland and Pittsburgh at Canham Natatorium on Friday, November 7th at 3 p.m.
This past Friday night, October 24th, Michigan volleyball got back on track in dominant fashion, sweeping Ohio State, naturally, 3-0 inside the Covelli Center. The Wolverines controlled the match from start to finish, winning by scores of 25-18, 25-9, and 25-18 again. Senior Allison Jacobs led the way with 13 kills, while Ella Demetrician added 11. Setters Morgan Burke and Camille Edwards ran a smooth offense, each finishing with 17 assists. Maddie Kukrin anchored the back row with 11 digs, and Jenna Haynes came up big at the net with 5 blocks. Less than 24 hours later, on Saturday night, October 25th, Michigan kept rolling, sweeping Illinois on the road inside Huff Hall. The Wolverines took all 3 sets, 25-23, 25-20, and 25-21, behind another balanced team effort. Jacobs once again led the attack with 8 kills, while Haynes turned in a stand-out performance with 7 kills and a career-high 7 blocks. Burke directed the offense with 18 assists, and Kukrin led the defense with 9 digs and a pair of aces.
This weekend, the Michigan field hockey team continued Big Ten play on the road. On Friday, October 24th, the number 13 Wolverines faced off at number 2 Northwestern. The game went scoreless for the first quarter, but after quite a bit of back and forth, Northwestern was able to net their first goal of the game early in just the second. Just 44 seconds into the second half, Ava Bernardi tied up the game with assists from Emmy Tran and Abby Burnett. Unfortunately, Michigan wasn't able to recover after 2 Northwestern goals in a 2-minute stretch late in the third, despite playing with a 3-player advantage for the last 25 seconds of gameplay. Then, on Sunday, October 26th, the Wolverines visited number 10, Iowa, for its final game on the road of the regular season. After a scoreless first half, Iowa scored early in the third and again with 45 seconds left in the game on an open net as Michigan attempted to tie it up. The Wolverines put up several great attempts, including a reverse shot from Abby Tamer and a penalty shot by Maxine Roga, and goaltenders Hollis Silverstein and McMahon combined for 6 saves on the game. The Wolverines returned home, hosting Indiana at Phyllis Ocker Field for the regular season finale, where they will honor their 4 graduating seniors on Friday, October 31st.
Saturday Night Lights return, thank God, because Big Noon Kickoff sucks, to Ann Arbor this Saturday, November 1st, as number 21 Michigan hosts Purdue at the Big House. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. on the Big Ten Network. The Wolverines, sitting at 6-2 overall and 4-1 in the Big Ten, look to keep pace in conference race, while the Boilermakers, 2-6 on the year, aim to play spoiler and grab their first Big Ten win of the year. Michigan has dominated this matchup historically, holding a 47-14 edge in the all-time series, and will try to extend that success in front of a home crowd that's seen plenty of primetime victories. Purdue's offense has been up and down this season, mostly down. The Boilermakers average just under 250 passing yards and around 140 rushing yards per game. Their challenge has been turnovers and finishing possessions, often stalling in key moments. Defensively, Purdue allows about the same amount of production it generates, close to 395 yards per game, and has had difficulty slowing down balanced attacks. The front seven plays with effort, but opponents have found success both running and throwing the ball, so everywhere.
For Michigan, Justice Haynes continues to drive the offense as one of the top rushers in the country, while Bryce Underwood's poise in the pocket keeps the unit efficient and balanced. On the other side, Derek Moore's recent surge off the edge and Jimmy Roeder's steady play at linebacker have anchored a strong defense. The Wolverines have been one of the cleanest teams in college football, committing few penalties and dominating the turnover margin. If they control the line of scrimmage and impose their style early, Michigan should have a little trouble keeping the momentum rolling under the lights in Ann Arbor.
Okay, two things. One, God, I love beating Michigan State. I remember at one point this used to be competitive, but oh well, that's besides the point. I'm looking at Purdue. I don't know. Last year I made a comment about Washington, about how they stood no chance because they weren't good and we lost. So I'm trying not to let that happen again, but I know they're the spoiler makers for a reason because they're really good at beating primetime teams. That being said, I'm going to be really disappointed if we don't beat Purdue. So I'm really looking forward to this, especially because, with all due respect to Purdue, it's really a tune-up game for Ohio State. But I am looking forward to an offensive slaughter for the most part.
Yeah, honestly, Purdue's not a big football school, so I don't really expect much from them. But like you said, I don't want to call anything too early and jinx the team because we know Michigan football, and we know what can happen to Michigan football under the lights in Ann Arbor. So I really do just hope that this game is, like you said, a tune-up for Ohio State because obviously next week we're away. We need to use that week and this week to really just get better and focus on winning in the next few weeks against the big rivalry.
I completely agree. Okay, switching gears over to hockey for a second. Number 2 versus number 3 was awesome, and I'm now totally sipping the Kool-Aid. I now totally think we're the real deal. Splitting against them was great, and the first home game at Yost was really just outplayed them in every possession. There were a lot of dumb mistakes the next night at Lawson and Kalamazoo, but they have all the makings, I'm not exaggerating, of a team that can easily make the Frozen Four. Even with all the newcomers, all the freshmen, this is so exciting. For this next weekend where they're rolling into Notre Dame, which even if Notre Dame's not great, they have a great support for their hockey program. It's hard to play there. I am now confident in like every single game.
Yeah, Michigan is one of those schools where, you know, hockey is a big deal, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it, simply just because it's like, we're playing Notre Dame. Personally, I don't really see that much of a competition between these two teams. So I do agree with you in saying that that was a really good match over the past weekend. So I hope that they just keep that energy up this next weekend.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
That'll be all for this week's episode of Wolf TV SportsCenter. I'm Zach Warshaw.
And I'm Amaro Okoro.
Who's got it better than us?
Nobody.